Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X research and professional physicist. And today I'd like to bring to you another one of my articles. This one is entitled Planet X Causing Destructive Rogue Waves. Now, recently video footage has emerged showing rogue waves hitting the coastline of the island of Santa Cruz de Tenerife, which is part of the Canary Islands and off the coast of Africa. And you can see that island here. It's part of the Canary Islands, which is off the coast of Africa, and they belong to Spain. It's over there. Now here you see this wave impacting this building, and you can see how high the tide was. The ocean was reaching very close to the building already, and here comes the wave. You can see how high it reaches. This seems to be the third floor, at least, maybe the fourth floor. And yes, I think that's first, second, third, fourth floor. And you can see it sweeps this metal railing on this balcony. This wave, it reaches very, very high. There it goes. But you can see that this balcony, even before this wave hits, already had no metal railing. So most likely a wave impacted before this one that swept that way. So this is an enormous wave that hits this building. And so clearly this is not a regular event, or the building wouldn't have been built so close to the ocean. This is an example of extra large or rogue waves impacting this island. So why are these events occurring? Well, in 2017, ocean recession events started being reported all over the world, and here are just two of them. This one was in Ponta del Este, Uruguay, and you can see the boats that were left sitting on the mud in this harbor because of this ocean recession event. And this occurred the next day in August of 2017 in Brazil, and left this beach empty of water like it had never occurred before. These were unprecedented events. There were no storms or hurricanes anywhere near this coastline. So these are tidal events because the water comes back after a certain period of time. And tidal events are caused by massive objects closely approaching the Earth. These events can only be caused by a tidal force. A tidal force is a differential gravitational force exerted by a massive object closely approaching the Earth from space. The Earth's normal tides are caused by the moon, so these unprecedented tidal events have to be caused by an object other than the moon closely approaching the Earth and creating a low tide, which is much lower than the tide caused by the moon's gravitational attraction. But where there is a low tide, there must also be the converse, in other words, a high tide. Thus, the high tides caused by these objects approaching the surface of the Earth must also be much higher than the normal high tides caused by the moon. Now, the objects that are approaching the Earth are the Planet X system stellar cores. The Planet X system is made up of dead star systems, which come to the Sun as comets, surrounded by huge clouds of debris. And for more details, you may look at Article 429 entitled Planet X is Here and Having Real Effects on the Earth. And you can see one of these objects here making a gravitational vortex connection with the Sun. You can see that connection here. So this is due to the tidal force that it exerts on the Sun's surface when it very closely approaches the Sun. And you can see it does approach very close because it is in the Sun's corona. Now, these unprecedented ocean recession events also show that the gravitational interaction gives rise to a wave on the surface of the ocean. That is because gravity is a wave. Now, a tide is not just a tidal bulge. There will be tidal bulges as well as tidal hollows, which make up a gravitational wave on the surface of the ocean. These bulges and hollows are due to differences in the density of the water created by the gravitational influence of an object closely approaching the Earth above the gravitational wave. And you may look at Article 345 entitled Hurricane Florence, Tidal Event and Gravity Waves. And this is what these waves look like. They have a central minimum or a hollow in the center, and this would be the tidal bulge. In a cross section, this is what they look like. It looks like you have two tidal bulges on each side with a hollow in the center. Now, so tidal bulges are actually regions of lower density. Gravity is actually a density wave. It creates regions of low density and high density. The central hollow is a region of higher than normal density, and the tidal bulge is a region of lower than normal density. And this is what the tidal bulge for the moon looks like, or how the moon generates the tides that we have on Earth. It basically generates a gravitational wave of this form. It doesn't always look like this because of the land masses in between the ocean, but this is basically why certain regions have 2 high tides per day, and other regions have only 1. This is illustrated here. And so this is the gravitational wave that the moon generates on the surface of the Earth. And if we were looking from where the moon is in relation to the Earth, so here's the moon in front of the Earth, it will look like a ring like this. You may look at Article 437 entitled Planet X Reveals What the Moon's Tidal Wave Looks Like for more details on this. So since ocean water in a tidal bulge created by the gravitational influence of a Planet X object closely approaching the Earth has lower density than ocean water outside of the tidal bulge, any wind-generated waves going through the low-density water will be much larger than usual. Thus, not only will the sea level be much higher in the bulge, waves will also be much larger and will thus be more destructive. And this is illustrated in these 2 diagrams. So normal density water creates a normal wave with a stellar core closely approaching the surface of the Earth above the ocean. Then we get the gravitational wave with a tidal hollow and the tidal bulge. So that means that you get a very high tide impacting the land, and also because the water is of lower density, it holds itself not as well as before. So that means that the wind will be able to generate much higher waves, and these will be the rogue waves. Now, Planet X objects are initially depleted in energy and thus have a low gravitational influence, but as they absorb energy from the solar system matter, this energy increases, and so will their gravitational influence. This means that their tidal forces will increase, and so will the height of the tides they create. Thus, as time goes by, these objects will cause increasingly higher tidal bulges and increasingly larger waves. So in conclusion, ocean recession events as well as rogue waves associated to abnormally high tides are a consequence of the effect of the Planet X system on planet Earth. Since the number of these objects reaching Earth as well as their gravitational influence is likely to increase, these events are likely to continue to occur, and their severity is also likely to increase. And those are the references. This is Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X physicist. Thank you for watching.